Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick video. So when you multiply with exponents, so let's just do something really, let's do something simple first. So for instance, like let's do 83 times 10 to the second, 10 squared. So you can read this as 10 to the second power. This is the base, and this is so this is called the base, and this is called the exponent. So 10 to the second power, or you can read it as 10 squared. So when we multiply 83 times 10 squared, it first helps to see, well, what is 10 squared? And 10 squared really means 10 times 10. And 10 times 10 is 100. So really what you're doing here is 83 times 100. Okay? So 83 times 1 is 83 with 2 zeros, and make sure I represent it the right way, 8,300. Okay? Another one we'll do, let's do one with a decimal, so like 12 and 5/10 times 10 to the third power. Now this can be read as 10 to the third power, or also, so when you have a 2, it can be read as squared, and when you have a 3 exponent, it can be read as cubed. Okay, so it's to the third power. So that's the exponent 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed. So 10 to the third power actually means 10 times 10 times 10, which 10 times 10 is 100, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. So 10 cubed is actually just another fancy way of saying 1,000. So you really have 12 and 5/10 times 1,000. Now what you do is you move the decimal point. You move it 1, 2, 3 times. So you're making it 1,000 times bigger. You're making it 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger. And you'll notice when I moved it, there was nothing here, so I put zeros. So look at my real answer now. It's 12500. So your answer is now 12,500. It's like the decimal was there, which makes it the whole number 12,500. Okay, we'll do one more example. I'm kind of running out of room, but I'll do one more. Okay, let's do 2 and 8/10 times 10 squared. Okay, so again, 10 squared, or 10 to the second power, that actually just means 100. And I'm multiplying this by 100, so I'm making it 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger. So the decimal is now back here. This empty space here, that becomes a 0. So I'm going to rewrite this. It's 280 decimal. 280 decimal is just 280. So your answer, 2 and 8/10 times 10 squared, is just 280. Scientists use exponents because when they have to write something like 10 to the 5th power, it's a lot easier to write this than it is to write this. So they kind of just do this as a quick notation. It's actually called exponential notation. And so when they're taking notations or notes, it makes it a lot quicker, simpler, but it still means the same thing. Okay, I'm going to go quick on dividing. It's the same concept, except instead of when you multiply, we were moving to the right because we were making the number like 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, and 1,000 times bigger. When we divide, we're going to be moving the decimal, so moving the decimal to the left. So making the number dividing by 10 times smaller, 100 times smaller, 1,000 times smaller. Okay, so you're moving to the left. Okay, so let's look at an example with a whole number first, like we did before. So 72 divided by 10 squared. We talked about 10 squared is actually just 100. So 72 divided by 100. Okay, you move the decimal. Move the decimal. So because you can't see the decimal in 72, it's 72 whole, so the decimal is here. So moving it 10 times smaller, 100 times smaller. So now the decimal's there. So now my answer is decimal 72, which is really 0 and 72 hundredths. Look at another example. How about, I don't know, 64 and 9/10 divided by 10 to the first power. 10 to the first power is just 10. That's it. It's 10 to the first power. It's just 10. So if I'm dividing it by 10, I'm moving the decimal, dividing, so I'm making it 10 times smaller. That's another way of saying this. I'm making it 10 times smaller. So I'm moving the decimal once, 10 times smaller. Now my decimal's here, so my answer is 6.49. 6 and 49 hundredths. Okay? So next step in your extension is going to be doing a check yourself. So make sure, a tip is definitely to use the loops. If you're multiplying, loop to the right. If you're dividing, loop to the left. Okay? Always check for where the decimal is. Remember, you're moving the decimal. Okay? And take your time. If it says like 10 to the third, write it out if you need to. That means 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000. So make it, don't rush through. Make it make sense for you. Okay? Good luck with your check-in.